an appeals court has thrown out the $500 million civil fraud penalty against President Donald Trump.
Now, as a reminder, this ruling, it stems from New York State's 2022 lawsuit against Trump, accusing him of fraud and of exaggerating his wealth. A judge found him liable on those charges in 2023. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake joins us now. Garrett, what exactly does this ruling mean? I mean, there's the question of penalty, there's the question of liability.
Yeah, that's right. And this ruling only throws out the penalty portion of this case. The actual fraud finding still remains, but the judges in this case in the Superior Court in New York, which is confusingly the appeals court, not the final say in the matter, ruled that the findings here for what amounted to about $500 million in penalties was in violation of the Eighth Amendment, was in violation of essentially too excessive of a penalty for President Trump and for his businesses. Folks might remember this being kind of background music during the presidential campaign, the president lambasting this judge who oversaw the case. It was a bench trial. He's done so again in a statement that he put out just a few minutes ago on Truth Social, which describes this as a total victory for Trump and for his children and his companies. That's not entirely the case. We still have yet to see if New York's Attorney General is going to pursue this issue much further here, or whether the president will try to get the fraud portion of this thrown out. But both he and his two sons, who run the Trump organization while he is president, have seized on this ruling as a complete victory. They continue to maintain that this entire effort by Letitia James, overseen by a New York State judge, was political in nature, and they see this ruling today as evidence in their favor. Ladies.
Garrett Haake, thank you so much with the very latest details on that breaking news. We want to bring back in NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos. So this is why we wanted you to stick around, because what does this mean legally moving forward? Is he liable for the fraud, but then the penalty is waived? So is it effectively a moot judgment?
Right. It's a win and a loss. I mean, in the sense that he's still technically liable, but the penalty has now been erased. And really what the court said in its opinion, which was 313 pages, I believe, what the court said essentially is they're setting this up for, and they realize that this is going to be the subject of an appeal. So the New York Court of Appeals, the highest court, could do virtually anything it wanted with this decision. It could reverse it. It could send it back down. It could reinstate the damages, or I should say the penalty of nearly $500 million, or maybe more than $500 million. So ultimately, this is a decision that will be looked at, as we say, de novo, because it involves such an interesting issue of the law. What is a penalty or a fine that is excessive under the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution?
And how smart was that as a strategy, I mean, from his lawyers to use the Eighth Amendment? Because what I hear you saying is, one, this is largely symbolic. Two, they've paved the way for this to go to an appeals court, which can reinstate this. So three, were they smart to use the Eighth Amendment as the crux of their argument?
Oh, definitely. It was a great argument. We traditionally think of the Eighth Amendment in terms of cruel and unusual punishment.
Correct.
We talk about things like execution methods, right? But one of the other set of words in that same amendment is about excessive fines or excessive penalties. So financial penalties are also included. And what the court did is they looked at things like, well, let's look at this $500 million. Did it go to victims to compensate them for their losses? And the answer was no. There really were no victims. There was no restitution. This was just a $500 million judgment out there in the ether. That was one of the factors the court looked at. And I have to tell you, the judges on the appellate division were highly fractured. You can read that from the opening salvo of the opinion. They did not agree. What's that?
5 judges?
It was, yes, I believe it was. I didn't, yes. And so
they were not unanimous.
Not only were they not unanimous, they bitterly disagreed about the outcome of this case.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.